Spider-Man. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Watch out. Here comes the Spider-Man.
Now, did you mean to say Ettercap instead of Spider-Man? Because now we're going to get sued.
You know what, man? I live life on the edge.
Oh my God.
I rather
just take the chances.
See what happens. I'll let the letters roll in.
Who owns that, 1987 Spider-Man intro theme? Does anyone know? Like,
I'm not sure.
I think just Marvel owns it.
Oh, okay.
I wonder who recorded it, who the recording artist was.
That's a good question, Tim.
Probably just like a professional artist.
It's like how we were, myself and my roommate Jack have been watching a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh recently, and like the guy who made like the Yu-Gi-Oh intro theme, which is an absolute banger.
Yaw move.
Absolutely.
He basically made like 3 songs and then vanished. Like he made like that, and I think he made one of the Pokemon intro themes.
Nice.
And it's like, and then he made like, I think he wrote one of his own songs, and then he's just gone.
Wow.
Well, the thing with anime now, they're using like the original Japanese for like modern day anime, so for any English dub. So I guess that kind of market of anime English dub exclusives, original songs, it's gone.
You're right.
I guess he just doesn't have any work anymore.
He's out of work.
Which is a damn shame.
Yeah.
Because do you think we could get him to do like an intro theme for us?
I love that. Yeah.
That would be amazing. The guy who did the Pokemon song, God, it was Vince something, or I remember he did like a version of it recently on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, what are we doing?
Hello, welcome to Creature Club. It's a podcast all about the anime themes from our childhood.
Y'all remember the One Piece rap?
You know I do.
I'm not gonna do it. Go ahead.
No, we're already getting letters from Marvel. Let's not get letters from the Ghost of 4Kids.
Yeah.
This is Creature Club. It's a podcast all about the monsters from Dungeons and Dragons, and occasionally the anime themes from our childhood. But it's very rarely about that. And this week it's not about that. It's about a monster, the Ettercap. Mm-hmm. Boys, how are you both doing?
Doing all right.
I'm doing good.
Who are we? Who am I?
I was going to say, I didn't introduce you. I'm joined by both of my co-hosts. It's a triple barrel experience, and you can tell because we're so professional.
Incredible.
I'm joined by Tim.
Hello, that's me.
And Mikey.
Hello. How's it going? I feel like when
And
the
I'm
three of
Daniel.
us are here, we get silly. Sorry, Daniel, say that again.
And I'm Daniel. We do get silly.
We do.
I agree.
We have too much fun.
It's actually criminal, the amount of fun we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have cracked open a cold one because spiritually I am with you and you are my boys.
I got one too. I got something or other here. I got an IPA that I found downstairs in the shop, so I cracked it open.
I have an almost empty cream soda that Ivy got me.
Nice. Cream soda's good.
Yeah, cream soda's very good.
Yeah.
I got an IPA that we were meeting up with some friends for drinks, and then when we were going home, my friend was like, "Do you want those?" And it was like a Gamma Ray and this, and I was like, "Free beer, yes."
Yes, please.
A bag of cans.
A literal bag of cans. And so now I'm enjoying one, and it's quite nice.
Lovely.
Very good. Right, so the Ettercap is what we're talking about today.
Yes.
Yes.
What? Yes.
At least partially.
Yes.
So I have.
All right.
There's no specific history about. I'm just going to jump into the history.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is an Ettercap? What the hell is an Ettercap, guys? Because I was about to ask. What the hell is an Ettercap?
So the word Ettercap, as used in D&D, is help me.
Sorry, go ahead. You're about to go into something there.
Yes, the Ettercap is based on a word from Middle English, which I wasn't perfectly sure what Middle English was. It's apparently the evolving version of English that was spoken between 1150 and 1500-ish. But in the Middle English language, this amorphous blob of language, they used Ettercap or Attercap specifically for poisonous spiders, because cop is just spider and atter is the word for poison. So cop is for spiders and Attercap is poisonous spiders, which actually has a funny little crossover into today's language, because we still say like cobwebs, which is derived from the cop web. So it's
right.
a nice little crossover there. We say cobwebs for spider webs these days. Still.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And also I found out that the Norwegian word for spider is edderkopp, which is along the same lines. But the specific inspiration for the Ettercap as we know them in 5th edition is inspired by Tolkien. He wrote in The Hobbit where Bilbo...
Who's Tolkien? I've never heard of this.
Who's this guy? I might check him out.
Jolkin, Rolkin, Tolkien.
Nice.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Tim, real quick, before you do that, I'm just going to say this because I wasn't actually messing when I said, what is an Ettercap? An Ettercap is a humanoid spider. So when I sang Spider-Man at the start, it wasn't for no reason.
It was because it's a Spider-Man.
Yes, because it's a Spider-Man. So with that in your head, Tim, continue, please.
Sure. But the modern day version of the Ettercap as we know them in D&D is inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien's reference in the forest where all of the dwarves are captured by these spiders and Bilbo escapes.
Yeah.
He names some of the spiders just kind of out loud. He names them Ettercap, Lazy Lob, Crazy Cob, and Old Tom Noddy. And Ettercap is just the word from Middle English. Lazy Lob. Lob was apparently just another word for spider, which is also referenced in his naming of Shelob.
Which basically means she-spider, I suppose.
Yep. There you go. Cool. Crazy Cob means that their webs are crazy. And Old Tom Noddy. Tom Noddy was just a silly person.
Oh.
But there you go. Yeah. So.
Tom Noddy. Tom Noddy Dillo. Nah, it doesn't work.
Tom Noddy Dillo. No. But yeah, there's very little else about specifically Ettercaps outside of that. The only references that I could hear are like literal words used. Like apparently in Scotland they say Ettercap for a spider, which I have no true references for. But there you go.
Still a bit of the lingo.
Yeah. There you go. So that's the little bit of real world history of the word Ettercap, at least.
So they probably came up with this humanoid spider monster, what we have here in 5th edition, or any of the old editions, or just in D&D in general. And they're like, we need a cool, fantasy-esque name for this. So they kind of came across the old spidery name of Ettercap. So they kind of went with that, I'd say. If I was to put a little theory of how it came to be.
You're wild, man. You're so off the wall, bro.
I know. I just it's crazy ideas going on here on Creature Club. I might actually sit up out of my seat.
Somebody please stop it.
Don't.
Speaking of which, are they in other editions, Daniel?
Yes, they are. I'm glad you asked. They have appeared in every edition of the game up until 5th edition. In 1st edition, they don't appear in the original Monster Manual. Instead, they actually appear in Fiend Folio, a tome of beasts malevolent and benign, which we've discussed before. But their image is very different, although their inspiration is very clear. They actually look a lot more like a troll. They don't have the sort of the mandibles that we see in the 5th edition art. They've actually got more like sort of a trollish visage. They've got very long arms like they do. They're still kind of pot-bellied, but they're not as heavy set. And they're hairy, unlike the sort of one we get in 5th edition who appears to be sort of hairless, which is interesting because spiders have hair. So,
yeah.
But it's already kind of got, as I say a lot of the time, the work is already here. The Ettercap is described as a bipedal, roughly man-sized, with very long arms, protruding pot-belly, short legs, and hairy skin. The Ettercap has clawed hands and 2 poison fangs protruding from either side of its mouth. Ettercaps are cruel, cunning, and treacherous. So they have claws. They have a poisonous bite, which, hey, look at that. What's got here? And also, the creature has silk glands like those of a spider located near the anus. Oh, thanks.
Why does it say that?
It's like, it's very why him say that. Like, it could have said anything.
Yeah.
Could have just not said.
Yeah.
The 5th edition book does us the joy of not saying, but Gary had a very clear vision for how the creature worked, and he needed us to understand.
No, it's near the anus. I'm going to write that down.
Write it!
Gary, is this necessary? Like the editor's talking to
I get the impression that like we're trying to sell this to a wide audience. Can I suggest that we just cut the word like anus out entirely? Put it in.
Oh, located near to his blank?
Just Control F anus. And it's
then just delete.
Yeah.
But more importantly, these glands secrete a thin, very tough silvery cord, which the beast uses to make assorted weapons and devices, lariats, nets, garrotes, tripwire, and so forth. Each Ettercap has a preferred weapon and trap device, so an encounter will vary according to an Ettercap's preference, though they will always lay traps and prepare an ambush if there is time to do so. And finally, it says, Ettercaps get along with all forms of spider, which is just a fun last line to end on. Like, hey, they're not all bad, they get on with spiders.
Spider, spider, spider.
Spider. Another Spider-Man reference.
Could you make friends with an Ettercap and he will, like, kill all the flies or the giant flies or the fly humanoids that come into your house?
It might not be a bad idea altogether, Make some kind of deal with it.
If you're a spider, absolutely he'll be your mate. But otherwise...
Yeah. Otherwise, less so, yeah.
Yeah, less likely.
Yeah. Getting garroted.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What was the first word you said? Of the weapons they make? A lariat?
Oh, a lariat.
Lariat.
A lariat, nets, garrotes, tripwires, and so forth.
Okay, I have no idea what a lariat is.
Yeah, what's a lariat?
It's a chariot with legs.
I think it might be another word for a lasso.
Ah.
I think I can look it up.
Is a lariat a kind of like a tack, like a
Yeah,
more
lariat is a rope used as a lasso or for tethering.
Oh, is that when because a lariat, I guess, when like an actual attack, you kind of hit them with your arm and like kind of with that kind of like a wrestling move, almost.
Oh yeah. So it's like a body lasso.
Yeah.
Maybe?
So I guess I'm thinking of like when you hold the rope between like two horses and you kind of catch them like that or something. But
oh yeah,
maybe that's where it came from.
Cool.
Anyway, so that's what we get in first edition. Second edition, as always, second edition has a lot of cool stuff on habitat, society, and ecology, which is my favorite. Although there's also one other thing that I will note. First of all, the art for second edition, it looks kind of like a Spider Shrek.
Yeah.
And I'm like not just saying that because Shrek is a meme. Like legitimately, it looks like a Spider Shrek.
Yep.
So that's all. Secondly, there's a bit more detail than last time. It's got because the rules are more complicated. It's still got its bite attack. It's still got its claw attack. But now its poison is very dangerous. The poison secreted by an Ettercap is highly toxic and very similar to the poison of a giant spider. A creature injected with it must immediately roll a saving throw versus poison. A failed roll means the creature dies in 1d4 turns when the toxin paralyzes the victim's heart.
Jesus.
Adventure!
If my DM did that to me, I'd be like, you're not my friend anymore. I'm going home.
I'm going home.
I'm going on this fantasy adventure with my friends and I'm going to go through forests and mountains and oh god, my heart has been paralyzed and I'm dead.
and yeah, so it's and then it's got the same thing as before. Although it does now say, like spiders, Ettercaps have silk glands located in their abdomen. So someone had a word with Gary between first and second edition. Whoever that person was, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And again, we get something similar. It says they can use their silk-like material to construct elaborate traps made of nets, tripwires, garrotes, and anything else the monster can make out of the strands. The traps are designed so that they often immobilize the adventurer who stumbles into them. If this is the case, Ettercaps never hesitate to attack that character first, trying to poison the victim before they escape. There's actually a really nice line here that I like. It says, different Ettercaps prefer different trap designs, like it said in first edition. So encounters with different Ettercaps should expose the adventurers to new traps each time. And I really like that line because that's not a line about the creature, that's a line about running D&D.
Yeah.
And very often something that I think we've talked about is the idea that like you get a stat block and you're not told like, what do? You know what I mean? Like, and I like stuff like this where it says like, hey, if for whatever reason you're running a lot of Ettercaps in your game, they shouldn't use the same traps. They should fight differently because they all have different preferences.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting way to like inspire someone by just sort of saying like, you should never rely on the same trap twice, which is pretty good advice generally when coming up with encounters.
Yeah, for sure. My Ettercap based campaign is just a myriad of different traps and interesting things.
Tim, I've always said that about your Ettercap-based campaign, that if the myriad nature of the traps and ambushes is very impressive.
Thank you.
Every time I think I've got them all sorted, there's a new one to surprise me.
My Etter campaign.
We get nice one, Tim. We get questions from Creature Club listeners who go like, guys, how do you make a effective Ettercap campaign? And I guess we just answered for today. You need to have tools and traps always there. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A great variety.
We'll have to do a special. We'll have to have Tim have to host a special on that at some stage, because obviously he's the expert.
Not true.
It's a bit
over. Please don't.
So there's a couple other bits after that. It mentions something very cruel, which is no treasure is to be found in Ettercap lairs, but occasionally items dropped by adventurers who have fallen into traps or found nearby, which I think is like, come on, man, like, give them something.
Instant death and no treasure. Come on,
yeah, instant death and no treasure. It says that you normally find one, but if you do find more than one, you'll find a mated pair. Males and females appear to be identical, and it says Ettercap young are abandoned as soon as they are born, so adults are never encountered with young. Again, it mentions the idea that they are friends with spiders, and they often have a gang of spiders helping them out. Actually, it says 2d4 spiders of some monstrous type are found cooperating with the Ettercap.
Nice.
And there is actually kind of an interesting thing here about, it says Ettercap poison is highly valued, partly because of its extreme toxicity, and partly because it's rather difficult to obtain for self-evident reasons. An Ettercap poison's gland hold only 1 ounce of poison at a time, but this ounce is worth up to 1,000 gold pieces on the open market. So there's kind of an interesting thing where it says the Ettercap doesn't keep any treasure, but actually it is the treasure.
Aww, that's so sweet.
The real treasure was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, it was the Ettercap we met along the way.
And this creature's skull.
That's cool, though. That's a very Monster Hunter My Monster situation we have going on.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the fact that, like, you know, it says exactly what the poison does. A creature injected with it must immediately roll or die in d4 turns. Means, like, the players know they could sell it, but they also know, like, maybe we've got somebody we don't like, and maybe we'll keep it.
Maybe we'll keep this
which is always good fun. 3rd edition, they get a stern talking to. Their poison doesn't immediately kill you anymore. It just deals damage.
But does it reference the anus again? Did Gary
come
flip flop on that one? It's like
back in
you
there.
remove the anus, fine, I'll just kill the players immediately. Give me the anus reference or they all die.
Release the butthole cut.
There's no reference to it, unfortunately.
Okay. Another round lost.
It simply says they can create sheets of sticky webbing. It just says they can make web, basically.
Wow.
The poison doesn't instantly kill you. It's actually got a fun thing where it's able to do like an actual Spider-Man style web attack where it like shoots web at somebody, and it's treated as if they're had a net thrown at them, which is fun. And there's also a really fun line, another fun line here about these guys. Ettercaps are very fond of spiders and often keep them as others keep pets. As others keep bees. Some Ettercaps have a number of monstrous spiders as pets, which are as loyal to it as a dog is to a human master. Which I just thought was sweet. That, like, it's not just that they get on; it's like they're actually fond of them, like they like them. Which I thought, like, that's kind of interesting. Like it establishes that, like, you know, they are monsters and they will try to kill you, but like they also have stuff they like.
Yeah.
Which establishes that they have some idea of like, oh, I like these things and I don't like these things, rather than just being like mindless.
Gives them a bit of character, because otherwise they're just the evil spider things in the forest that hate.
Yeah,
people.
exactly. Yeah. And it's like, now they're evil spiders, but they're evil spider beasts, but they like spiders.
Yeah.
Which means that immediately they can be involved in campaigns as a result of their motivation. Like, maybe the Ettercaps left someone alone until they bothered the spiders or whatever.
Or maybe a hag has been like collecting the spiders in the forest or something. And the Ettercap are like, we can't do anything about this. Please help.
Help us, Lisa.
We loathe asking you people for help, but
Yeah.
you're the only ones that can help us.
You filthy not spiders for help, but we will.
Yeah. And then a bridge was built between the Ettercaps and the village.
And then in 4th edition, Ettercaps are sort of weird. They get 4 legs, I think. They like look different.
I was hoping he would say that, because like it's always like with now in 4th edition things get weird. Like, yeah, I know that.
So like, yeah, in 4th edition, like, they don't get a lot of lore, which is the case with basically everything in 4th edition. Nothing really gets a lot of lore. It says that like that Ettercaps like spiders and that they live among spiders and scorpions. So I guess they like scorpions too, which is interesting.
Arachnids in general.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then it just sort of, there's just one piece of art of them in the monster manual, where they've got like an extra arm, like so they've got like I think they're now arachnids, like they've got 2 sets of arms and 2 sets of legs.
Pretty cool looking.
It is cool looking. The art's actually kind of fun. They're like crawling out of a big webby cave.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. They've got some fun abilities, but that's always true in 4th edition, so I won't focus on it. But yeah, they just totally got a redesign.
Sweet.
But then we go back to 5th edition and never mind. they're big dudes again. And now we're here. We're in 5th edition.
Welcome to 5th edition.
For the sake of brevity, I'm going to read this quick. All right, guys.
Go for it.
We're halfway through the podcast here. Right. Ettercap. Ettercap are humanoid spiders that tend, feed, and watch over spiders the way a shepherd oversees a flock of sheep. They lair deep in remote forests. So, stuff that we've heard before in the previous editions. Fine strands of silk stream from glands in an ettercap's abdomen, letting it shoot sticky strands of webbing to bind and trap and strangle its victims. It can also use its webbing to fashion elaborate snares and nets, which often festoon its lair. Festoon, that's a great word. I like that.
Festoon is a good word, yeah.
And they fashion elaborate snares. I'm sure they are also very fashionable.
Ooh, fashion.
Stuff that we've heard already. They're friends of spiders. They make traps and they shoot out silk from somewhere in their body. Okay.
Anus got cut again.
Yeah.
Wizards have made the executive decision.
No anuses.
Let's just wait for sixth edition. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait for 6th edition.
Right.
There are no anuses in D&D. All right.
No, get the laugh
That's
out.
on page 1 of the 6th edition monster manual.
People have been clawing and asking, but we have decided.
keep asking.
Yeah.
Jeremy Crawford is sick of it, and he's made a decision.
That's not even
It's on
page
the
1.
first
That's
page of the new
that's
book.
the entire book. You open it up,
Yeah.
and it's just one page that says that.
Right. The next paragraph. Quiet killers. When travelers and explorers venture into an Ettercap's territory, the Ettercap stalks them. Some meet their end wandering blindly into traps or sections of forest enclosed by webs. Others, the Ettercap garrotes with strands of webs or envenoms with its poisonous bite. Brutal.
So it's stealthy,
Yeah, scary.
and it's a kind of a hunter enemy to you, where he's trying to stalk its prey and wait for it to go into a trap, just like our actual spider.
Wow.
Yes. Next section is Sylvan Despoilers. Though they dwell in the wilds, Ettercaps have no desire to live in harmony with nature. A forest infested with Ettercaps transforms into a gloomy place, choked with webs and infested with giant spiders, giant insects, and other sinister predators. Creatures that wander too far into such a wood are soon lost in a maze of webs that dangle with the bones and lost treasures of the Ettercap's victims.
Scary.
So it's just like
Turn it off. Turn off the game. It's too scary.
turn out the game. It's too scary. So on purpose, they're like, "Nah, we don't like nature. It's our kind of nature now.
Yeah.
Mess it up."
They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, because if they remove nature from wherever they are going, they are also cutting off their own food supplies.
Yes.
So they're not farmers, they're just shepherds of spiders, and that's it. They just don't know what else to do.
Yep.
They're just too good at their jobs.
Enemies of the Fae. Ettercaps are natural enemies of Fae creatures. The foul creatures set web snares to catch sprites and pixies, which they hungrily devour. Oh my gosh. And will encase a dryad's tree in webbing in a vain attempt to trap the dryad. Otherwise, timid Fae will sometimes approach outsiders for help in dealing with an Ettercap infestation, being ill-equipped to deal with the malevolent creatures themselves.
Well, there you go.
That goes in with the last thing we're saying. They're kind of...
Call to adventure.
Yeah. Cold Adventures right there, and it looks like the Fae creature's just like, nah, these guys, they're the worst.
Absolute worst.
Get rid of them.
They're the blurst. Yeah, I like the idea of an infestation, because did it say in one of the other bits that they tend to be in pairs? Or did it say that they were solitary? No, it said that...
It said they were solitary. Yeah, in 2nd edition, it mentions that they're solitary, and if you ever find more than one, it'll be a mated pair.
Okay. So now we have the possibility of an infestation, similar to actual spiders, which is kind of cool. I like the idea that they might gradually overtake a wood, or there'll be a small threat initially, and then they'll grow into an exponential growth that will overtake a Fae forest, where the Fae are just oh, those Ettercaps are fine. Oh my god, this is happening.
Because I suppose you could argue, like, if they kind of farm spiders,
Yeah.
and then it mentions that, like, you know, that the young are abandoned as soon as they're born, that, like, in a forest infested with giant spiders, you know, assuming that they have a bond with Ettercap, you know, regardless of their level of maturity, then maybe the spiders care for young Ettercaps in a manner that means that in a forest with a more pronounced Ettercap infestation, they become more and more self-reliant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the expanding flock of spiders cares for the young, so the Ettercap can remain solitary, but their numbers still increase.
Yeah. Pretty sweet. And maybe even because, like, the forest is... Let's save this for the third part, actually, because we're getting kind of deep into that. But I have an idea for stuff. That's kind of cool. Shall we jump into meat and also potatoes of the episode?
Let's do it.
Yes. Ettercap. Medium monstrosity. Neutral evil. Armor class 13. Natural armor. Hit points 44. 8d8 plus 8. That's a lot of 8s. Speed 30 feet. Climb 30 feet. Because it's a spider. It can climb. Strength 14. Dex 15. Constitution 13. Intelligence 7. Wisdom 12. Charisma 8. That's an alright stat block there. Skills. Perception plus 3. Stealth plus 4. Survival plus 3. So... the perception, stealth, I guess survival as well, all kind of help to the trap side of him and kind of the trying to be quiet and hunt you, you know?
Yeah.
So those skills make sense. Dark vision 60 feet, passive perception 13, no languages at all, doesn't talk, doesn't even understand anything. Not even spider, I guess. Challenge rating 2 or 450 experience points.
Excellent.
There we go.
That's a grand little stat setup there, I think. It makes sense for... I mean, they're definitely low challenge rating because, like, if you're fighting spiders at your high-level campaign, you're either already fighting, like, Lolth and, like, Drow and Driders that we were talking about earlier, or you're probably just kind of low-level starting out.
Hundreds of spiders.
Hundreds of thousands.
They're fighting Lolth?
Yep, fighting Lolth.
Actual Lolth?
Actual Lolth comes out from her spider queen den and is just like, fight me, IRL.
Yeah.
And then she beats you up.
Yeah.
And she beats you up.
Yep.
And that's the campaign.
There you go.
That's the campaign.
How'd you enjoy that campaign, guys? How'd you think that went?
That was good. I liked all the Ettercap traps.
Cool.
I didn't like the bit where we just fought Lolth and lost.
Cool.
I like the monologue you did of an Ettercap befriending a bunch of spiders and just their day. You know, it was good to just have you talk.
I like that
Talk
too,
about that for 10 minutes. Didn't need to play.
A few versions of that before I brought to the table was maybe my 4th or 5th draft. So I'm really glad you enjoyed that, Mikey.
Well, that shows because it's incredibly high quality. And again,
Well,
it shows the amount of work you put in. So
that's the kind of effort that I feel the need to put in, you know. And I'm glad you enjoyed it.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
yeah.
XP or
Do we level up? Do we level up?
No, you're all dead. Lolth beat you up.
right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
End of the campaign. All
Does
your
my next
characters...
character get inspiration?
No.
All right.
Does my next character get inspiration?
Yes.
Yes.
Abilities. The Ettercap has a spider climb. The Ettercap can climb difficult surfaces, including upside down and on ceilings, without needing to make an ability check. Classic spider stuff.
Yep.
It has this new sense, which it left out of its senses block, which is web sense. While in contact,
that's a good point.
Yeah. While in contact with a web, the Ettercap knows the exact location of any creature in contact with the same web.
And that's not the World Wide Web, guys. That's the spider kind of web. So,
although there is that software, I think, that is called Ettercap that protects your LAN or something.
oh yeah, we can advertise because it's free. It's free. It's freeware. So it's open source.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah,
there we go.
But if you want Ettercap for the real world, World Wide Web, then you use that Ettercap. But if you're in D&D and you're fighting spiders, the DM can use this version of Ettercap. The final ability is Web Walker. The Ettercap ignores movement restrictions caused by webbing.
Mm-hmm.
So those 3 very spider web-centric abilities for this Ettercap spider creature.
And it's got 4 actions.
Grief.
First of all, it's got the multi-attack. It's your boy. The Ettercap makes 2 attacks, one with its bite and one with its claws. Then it's the bite, which we know it's had since all the way in first edition. But +4 to hit, reach 5 feet, 1 creature, hit 1d8 +2 or 6 on average, piercing damage +4 1d8 poison damage. So it's taken a hit since d4 rounds till death. But that might be for the best.
Mm-hmm.
The target must succeed on a DC 11 Constitution saving throw or be poisoned for a minute. The creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. So that's interesting. That you don't get a save against the poison damage, just against the poison condition. I know obviously sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. But it's just interesting that they don't this time.
Yeah, they made the distinction here.
Yes. Claws. Melee weapon attack +4 to hit, same as the bite. Reach 5 feet, 1 target, hit 7, 2d4 +2 slashing damage. Interesting that it's 2d4.
Yeah.
That's an interesting dice size for claws.
Maybe because it has 2 claws in the picture, and 1d4 is what a dagger does, and it's implying
because it does say claws and not claw. Good point, Tim.
It can't miss you. If it hits you with one, it hits you with the other, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's like a swiping attack.
Yes.
And then it's got another slightly longer ability, Web, recharge 5/6. It's a ranged weapon attack, but it's still +4 to hit. Range 30 feet, 60 feet, 1 large or smaller creature. Hit, the creature is restrained by webbing. As an action, the restrained creature can make a DC 11 strength check, escaping from the webbing on success. The effect ends if the webbing is destroyed. The webbing has AC 10, 5 hit points, and resistance to bludgeoning damage, and immunity to poison and psychic damage.
Is that all you got?
Which is a little...
No, I mean, like, my stat block says something slightly different.
Oh, really? What else does it say?
For that last line, it says the webbing has AC 10, 5 hit points, vulnerability to fire damage, and immunity to bludgeoning, poisoning, and psychic damage.
I just have immunity to poison and psychic.
So yours has immunity to bludgeoning instead of resistance to bludgeoning, and but compensates by having vulnerability to fire.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
Very interesting.
What a weird choice. Like in terms of, it seems like a very minor point.
Yeah, and yours didn't have any reference to fire damage?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say.
Which one is the real one?
Mine
Who do I
gives you
kill?
Who do I shoot?
Mine has more XP for a higher challenge rating, so I'm going to say mine's the real one. And
fair enough.
I'm going to look up my database for things.
Okay.
5e related. Right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Enter the Matrix.
How about we have a look at that real quick, so we can tell our viewers what is real,
the truth.
What is the truth?
Well, while you're looking that up, Mikey, one thing I will mention is that the web spell references being flammable, and that if it's exposed to flame, it burns away, which is sort of an interesting part of the spell. So I wonder, is it like a reference to that to make it more similar?
Plausibly. I wonder if they made an addendum to that to add that, because otherwise it's just like, well, the web stays there forever.
All right. Online saying vulnerable to fire damage, immune to bludgeoning, poison, and psychic damage.
There you go. There you go.
So I think that's the updated version.
I win.
And I think, well, Tim, I didn't think it was a competition, to be honest with you.
Well, I did. So
there's don't bring any.
Thank you so much.
There's no stakes.
I'd like to thank Wizards of the Coast for sending me this specific version.
Someone play the music. Play him off.
Get him off the stage.
Get the cane. Get him off the stage.
Oh yeah, the crook. Just pull them off.
The crook. Sorry. Yeah. And then there's a variant action, which I'll just cover very quickly because we've kind of already mentioned it. Variant Web Garrote. Some Ettercaps like to strangle prey using garrotes fashioned from webbing. An Ettercap so armed gains the following action option, which it uses in place of its claws, which makes sense because it's holding them with its claws. So it's another melee weapon attack. It's still +4 to hit, and it's still got a reach of 5 feet. One medium or small creature against which the Ettercap has advantage on the attack roll. So it will probably have advantage by restraining that creature with its web, but it also has traps and giant spider friends, so maybe from them. Hit 1d4 plus 2 bludgeoning damage, and the target is grappled. Escape DC 12. Until the grapple ends, the target can't breathe, and the Ettercap has advantage on attack rolls against it.
Good grief.
So that's pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
If it grabs the wrong member of the party, they're pretty stuck. And yeah, that's it.
Watch out for his garrote build, hero.
Yes.
Yeah, DC 12 on the escape, which is 1 higher than its other saves.
Yeah.
Maybe because its other saves were con based and its garrote save is strength or dex based.
Yeah.
Is all I can think of off the top of my head.
Makes sense. Well, cool. That's a grand old stat lock. I think that's very well covering just about everything that you would expect something like this to do. It doesn't have any kind of call spiders, call my best buddy giant spider ability.
Yes.
Where there's like a summon possibility or something like that. I think it's just presuming that you will also already have spiders with you.
Yeah.
If you're hanging out with this guy.
Yeah. It doesn't say give the ability to call spiders, and it also doesn't give it any ability to control spiders or command them. So I think the implication is that the default Ettercap is perhaps allied with giant spiders, but not in a manner where it gets any kind of advantage as a result of that.
Yeah, fair.
And I guess because the paragraphs say that they like to watch over and tend to spiders, you can kind of take that and just like, oh, I guess it's around spiders a lot. So when you run into it, he's with spiders.
Yeah.
And it's just, instead of it controlling spiders, it's just they're on the team of the enemy team, basically.
Yeah.
So that's
Like,
really it.
you could sort of say like, oh, but they're still wild animals, so like the party can still kind of like scare off the spiders and then just fight the Ettercap, which is like, maybe a more, gives them more options. But yeah, sorry, my only other thoughts about the stat block are, in previous editions, the Ettercap could either speak common, or it had a rule that it could speak in a kind of, it says in 2nd edition, they express themselves through a combination of high-pitched chittering noises, shrieks, and violent actions.
Good grief.
Which I kind of like, because it implies that they have a proto-language, which is kind of interesting, and would also, again, reinforce that notion of like Ettercaps are monsters, but they kind of like, they are also their own creatures that have their own way of life.
Yeah.
And you're naturally drawn to conflict with them, but they're not just there to be like, oh, I'm just here to kill you. It's like they're not a zombie. They're like a living creature. They have an ecosystem. They have a way of life. My other criticism is why stats? Why like this? Why is there not 1 plus 3 somewhere here? Like a 16 or a 17.
Just to kind of probably keep it low enough for challenge rating 2 kind of thing. I haven't been paying a huge amount of attention, but I don't think much has that kind of a stat block for that kind of level. I think they probably just gave themselves a restriction in that regard. For me, it's purely just a case of like, the nature of 5th edition is that like the math is so flat that realistically, if this creature has a +4 to hit, there are entire parties of players it will not be able to hit. Right.
Even at level 2, like level 2 is still a high enough level for you to have scale mail and a shield. Which is 17, so you need a 13 to hit something. So it's just for me, and for comparison, in 4th edition and 3rd edition, it has a higher stat array. It's got like 17 dexterity in 3rd edition. It's got 16. It's got 16 strength and 16 con in 4th edition. It's also a lot wiser, interestingly enough, in 4th edition. I guess because the idea is they're more like, I think they have like a spiritual connection with the spiders.
Right.
So it reflects that more like, they're more attuned with nature, whereas in this they're kind of more bestial. I don't know, like just because like I've run enough 5th edition to know like, oh, +4 to hit. Oh, cool, it's not going to hit anyone. It doesn't have pack tactics to help with spiders.
Tactics.
Its only choice is to use its web to try to restrain someone, and then hit them. But to do that, they would have to not get out over a whole round, which they will, because it has the web has 5 hit points.
Yeah.
And cantrips exist in 5th edition. So, yeah.
Well, that's all good, Dan, but we have to get on somewhere else now.
We do.
That place is Desert Town. Hit it. Okay, so the Ettercap, guys.
Ettercap.
How's this guy going to be in the Matrix room?
He's going to get annihilated.
Oh, he's going to get... I mean, yeah, he's going to get slapped around.
He's going to get burked.
I think he'll, like, last 1 round, maybe.
Probably.
Depending on the party and the resources.
Yeah.
44 health is an okay amount.
Yeah.
Given its level, or given its challenge, I guess, more accurately. But, if, for example, the party have, like 2 spellcasters, like a wizard and a cleric, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm happy to spend a spell slot, on this creature, then probably just the 1 round. Otherwise, kind of like, I think, round and a half, because it's got a very low armor class.
Yeah.
And it's got no resistances, no immunities. It's weirdly, this is something I noticed, doesn't resist, or it is not immune to poison.
Oh.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
Huh?
That is strange.
Which is which I thought was interesting. I'm not sure if that is like a legitimate oversight.
Yeah. Like that just makes sense. Like flavor wise, it makes sense.
Yeah. Almost any creature that has poison, it's like a lot of the time you just give them resistance.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
At least a resistance, if not immunity.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Very strange. All right. I feel like this guy isn't made to be fought 1-on-1. I feel like its advantage is in its lair, basically. Like they haven't given it a lair here, but I think whatever you come up with for a web encased forest lair full of traps and all of that is where its advantage is. Its advantage is in setting those traps, in preparing for an attack, and having its spider allies on its side.
Yeah, I actually agree, and I think I think they missed a trick not having the Ettercap be a very low level creature with lair actions.
Yeah,
I think that was the obvious solution, was to use give the Ettercap, like I would actually say, like literally leave it the exact same and give it a lair action. And, have the thing of like, if you fight the Ettercap in its lair, increase its challenge, probably just by 1. And the lair would just be like, summon a giant spider, summon a web trap, and like everyone within 10 feet of a tree or something is suddenly attacked by web. Just that kind of thing of like, and the idea from my perspective would be you introduce new players to the idea of lair actions, because it's like realistically it would be one of the first creatures they could fight that have these abilities, because lair actions are normally reserved for higher level monsters.
Right.
But by doing this and saying like, here's a challenge 3 monster with lair actions, your party of entirely new players can be like, oh, this is a mechanic in the game, and now I understand it.
I think like regarding the like traps and stuff that you could set, like there are so many varieties of stuff that you could do. Like you mentioned 2 there. You could have like they stand at a point and they cut a single thread of silk, and then like one of the like carcasses falls down on your party, make a DC 12 dexterity saving throw or take damage. You could have like pitfall traps. You could have all kinds of stuff. Like they could set up the web so that they have like tripwires where if you touch a web, it is attached to a very thin piece of web that is holding up this whole thing. Like there's so many varieties of things that you could do with this that like they could have made this much more varied, but I feel like they didn't want to invest the like page.
Yeah.
They didn't want to put down the ink to like suggest traps. They were just like, oh, he does traps.
Yeah, which I would argue is kind of one of 5th edition's problems with the monster manual overall.
Yeah.
That it'll say things like, this creature likes to do this. Can we have some rules for that? No. No. And it's like, oh, I'd really like some.
Too bad.
I mean, like, for example, like, there's even stuff like there is a hunting trap in the player's handbook. There's a piece of adventuring gear.
Oh, yeah?
So you could just say, like, the Ettercap starts every fight with 3 hunting traps somewhere on the map. Imagine that. It's just like, oh, watch where you step.
And then you just get, like, flipped up into the air upside down.
Yeah, exactly. Ah! It's like, it's like, what's happening? It's like, this is all part of its plan. It wanted you to come here. It's not stupid. So yeah, there's a lot of options, but unfortunately, none of them in the book.
No.
I wouldn't mind a web slinging ability like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where he can swing around in like trees.
Yeah, like a mobility.
Like a grappling ability. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a mobility ability, even if it's just one that's like, it pulls itself to a point within 30 feet.
Yeah.
So that it can just like leave.
And have it count as force movement so it doesn't take any opportunity attacks or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Like if it was even if it was like a lair action where it pulls itself. Yeah.
Yeah, or it can grapple in like someone from like afar, from like a few like not just like 5 feet, but like let's say 15 or 20 or something. So it can actually shoot web at you and kind of drag you around the battlefield with it.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many varieties of cool stuff you could do with this.
Yeah, there are.
But I mentioned earlier on that I had a small idea for a potential like startup for a campaign, where my idea was there is this Fey forest that has some Fey influence and there are Ettercaps. So in my head, the Ettercaps, there is a mating pair and they have established themselves and they have their brood, and then as they consume more of the forest and there are more spiders around, they need to expand their influence, but they won't stay in the very middle. The very middle is probably reserved for some great spider, probably like a Shelob figure, which would be like a great ancient spider or whatever that has been introduced to this area. And the Ettercaps are kind of on the fringe, constantly like building out their influence, and the wider and wider it gets, the more Ettercaps that there are. But they're spread out because they're also in competition with each other. They don't want to share the space. They're solitary or found in pairs. So they'll have their roaming ground, and then they'll establish their brood, and then they'll spread out their influence, and that will encroach on this Fey area, and it'll just suddenly just be almost like all-consuming once the Ettercaps have like a slightly higher than average size brood or something, because like spiders have fucking massive amounts of babies when they lay their egg sacs, and I don't think that I'd probably have Ettercaps do the same. They might have like a brood of 4 or 5, but like say like 1d10 like Ettercaps are born in a brood, and so like if you roll a 10 probably for like a random encounter table or whatever, or like having environmental influence on the game that is going on, as I would, then you roll a 10. The Ettercaps have a bloom and a boom in their expansion, and suddenly they're like capturing Fey and eating Fey and corrupting the forest and cool stuff like that. So I think that would be a cool kind of way to induce a spider campaign, which is out now on the Creature Club website. Available for purchase for $19.99.
We legally have to say that this is fictional. We're doing a bit, and it's not available on the Creature Club website.
No,
And we can't accept any of your money.
No, we refuse to. Don't Venmo me.
Don't. So yeah, another thing that would be interesting in terms of like a adventure set around the notion of like Ettercaps expanding into a wood. Just to touch on what we know about webbing and what we've learned from the official real book, it's vulnerable to fire. So I like the idea that like, there's Ettercaps in the wood, and the party are brought in, I think by like a sort of a slightly outside observer and they're told like, go into the forest and get rid of the Ettercaps. And the locals are like, oh, we were just going to burn the forest down. It's, that webbing is all tinder. Like, we were just going to burn it all down.
Yikes.
And smoke out the Ettercaps with it. And I like that idea of like, it's just like, to them, it's like, oh, well, there's no saving it, so we have to destroy it. And also, like, we don't really care. It's just a wood. Whereas, like, it's a sacred place to something else.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it would have these other impacts. And so you're kind of like, I like that idea of like maybe both as a sense of like creating a distinction where it's like, oh yeah, you guys are like plan A where you're going to go in and solve this, but plan B is we burn the forest down.
Yeah.
And also kind of create some urgency, you know.
And maybe you can have fey creatures there, like, please don't burn this place down. It's our home. Like,
Yeah. I like also that, like, oh yeah, we were just going to burn it down. It kind of implies that they have dealt with Ettercap infestations before,
Yeah, exactly,
or that there is like an established method of dealing with Ettercaps.
Yeah, or
That's
there's
cool.
like a cycle that like these people know this is just how you deal with them. You burn the forest to burn them out, because like you can't go in there after them. They've turned the whole forest into their lair. It's a
Giant
it's a
death trap.
fool's errand to go in hunting them. And maybe they even call the party fools for doing it, which is interesting because it obviously creates a context where it's like, you know, are you going to be the fool, or are you going to come back alive and prove everybody wrong? Which, hey, something to prove. That's a bit of a hero's journey. That's fun.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, and so yeah, like I think that'd be cool. Is just like the idea of like, you know, we know webbing is vulnerable to fire, and we know that the web spell says that if web catches on fire, it burns, and it burns everything around it. So we know, hey, like webbing's pretty flammable. So maybe normal people who don't have, you know, 7 levels in paladin just look at this and go, I'm just going to light a torch and leave. Like, like this is not my problem.
I'm committing arson.
It's like, yeah, it's like, well, it's not arson. It's nobody's property. It's just
Well,
a
yeah,
wood.
Do you think the Ettercaps at all are mates with the drow? Was that said during drow?
I was actually thinking that as well. I was thinking maybe they're not friends with the drow, but they could potentially draw power from Lolth,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which could be interesting.
Or could be like a runaway experiment by Lolth or something.
Maybe, yeah. I like the idea of some of them almost kind of having like trained some, or even have them like as kind of beasts for like the raiding parties, for like bringing back prisoners,
Raiding party.
so they can
Sorry.
you know, the drow, like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
raiders, so they can have like they can set up traps to kind of capture the humans, basically.
Yeah.
So they're like, these Ettercaps know how to do this. So, or maybe the drow kind of take kind of the Ettercaps' abilities or something somehow, or like make a silk trap or something. I don't know. They can probably make their own traps. But yeah, I like the idea of the Ettercaps, of somehow using them to work with them, you know.
Yeah, crossover.
That'd actually be kind of cool if they were like within the context of like, you know, drow society, because, you know, spiders are considered important creatures, that they keep Ettercaps to like, you know, as like almost like sheepdogs, like that kind of idea.
Yeah.
Of like, you know, keep this other creature to keep your spiders safe, because it's like got a natural instinct for caring for them. You know, they've got this sort of position in society that could be interesting.
Absolutely, just makes sense. It just thematically makes sense. So I think it's keep that in mind, Creature Club listeners.
Yes.
If you haven't already, or listen to the drow episodes, we talk about them there.
Sure do.
I think that's everything I have. Do we have anything else we want to monster hunter with this monster?
Well, he's got poison.
Sure.
He's got a lot of poisons in it. So did you say it costs a lot of money or something? It's worth a lot of money?
Yes,
I mean?
back in 2nd edition when the poison killed you in 4 turns. Or sorry, the poison killed you in 1d4 turns, so it could be 1 turn depending on how well you roll. Yes, because of that, the Ettercap only produced an ounce of poison at a time, but that ounce of poison was worth 1,000 gold pieces, which it says on the open market, and I'm like, do you sell poison on the open market?
Do you sell poison?
Do you do poison? Yeah.
Poison's here. Kill your enemies.
Although, in fairness, that's actually something I think I've complained about before, where I think it even says in 5th edition, it mentions how, like, you know, buying poisons is like nasty because only nasty men use poisons. I'm like, motherfucker, there are dragons out there who will burn this village to the ground. Give me poison. Like,
No, we can't have poison.
it's like I'm not using it on your king. I'm using it on the thing that's going to eat everybody here. Like,
We can't have poison in the hands of the people, Daniel.
Goblins are just in my house right now.
Yeah.
Just wrecking. They're wrecking everything. Give me that poison.
yeah. It's one of those moments where it doesn't make a lick of sense and there's no justification. There's no explanation for, like, you know, it's like, well, what about monster hunters? Do they say, like, well, I need poison because I'm killing very large, dangerous creatures, you know, creatures that are many times more powerful than a man. And a poison is one of the few things that will give me an advantage. You know, there's literally no acknowledgement of this. no acknowledgement of the fact that this is something that, like, it's like if we never invented, like, any weapon, because we're like, it's only fair to fight creatures with our bare hands. It's not sporting to use anything else. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, this tiger will eat me. Give me a spear. Like,
and that's kind of nasty of you to buy a spear.
that's kind of nasty.
gosh,
Spear, don't you think?
That's kind
Like,
of unfair.
It's kind of bad out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of actually, when extracting this poison, because it's like worth a lot of money, maybe it does, like, maybe it's very deadly. Maybe it actually does kill people in 1d4 turns.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, I don't know, if your party actually want it, then they have it, like a very deadly poison. Or maybe, assassins use it to try and kill you, maybe, or something.
Maybe there's like an Ettercap Prime, like the first Ettercap from an infestation that is kind
or an
of
old enough one that's like,
Yeah.
like a silverback kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe that's like the 1d4 poison.
Yeah.
Or it could be as simple as like, the poison's not very dangerous, but an alchemist can use it to make that very deadly poison. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, if you mix it with this other thing, like this other ingredient,
Ettercap poison and nightshade.
it's like normally the poison is, not that dangerous, as long as you have like a herbalist nearby. But when you mix it with whatever, like foxglove and blah blah blah, like suddenly it becomes an extraordinarily dangerous toxin, and that's sort of the explanation for where it comes from.
Cool.
And maybe because of that, and because people know that, that's why it's valuable, because it's like one part of the ingredient.
Anything else you can do with maybe its claws can be made into a spear or something, into like a double dagger thing or something, because it does like maybe they can, like, a poison weapon of some sort.
It doesn't have any like chitin. It doesn't have the chitin, whatever the word is.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't have like hard armor or shell. It doesn't have like fur that like tarantulas do that it can like shake off, that is also poisonous.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything like that. I'd say like you could maybe turn its skull into a helm that gives you web sense. Probably just doesn't give you web sense. Probably just gives you tremor sense, because that's cooler. And then maybe also gives you like a sort of like a giant spiders and scorpions aren't hostile to you initially kind of thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, just spiders in general are like not hostile to you, so you can kind of like, I know it just doesn't make it like, they wouldn't do anything for you. It's just that they're not hostile. That's it.
Yeah, it's like the monster masks in Breath of the Wild, where like you put them on and the monsters aren't hostile anymore.
Or like some of the monsters in Monster Hunter, where like they just see you and they're like, all right, and you can just walk past them.
Yeah. It's like they're not like friendly. They're just like, they're no longer hostile, and that's all.
They don't see you as a threat.
Yes.
This one might get a wee bit gross, but just bear with me. You can take its silk glands or something, so you can make, like, you can make that into something that you can make, like, strong, like, web garrotes or like the web lariat and stuff with it. Like, you can kind of have a thing, pretty much a dispenser for that. It's like a craftsman can make it somehow, where like I need like a garrote, and you just take it out of that, and you have a web garrote now. Or I need like a lasso, and then you take that out and you have a lasso,
Or like a web grenade, like a non-spellcaster can cast web.
Oh yeah,
by
yeah.
like
That's a great
using
idea.
an Ettercap
Oh yeah
thingy.
very good.
Thanks.
Interesting with that one.
Inspired by.
Yeah, like it's like a gland suspended in oil, and when you throw it, it like bursts and the whole thing explodes.
I like it.
Yeah,
I don't think there's an easy way to get web walker. It doesn't really. It's kind of got weird legs.
make shoes.
They'd be hard to turn into shoes.
That's it.
That's all I can think of. I guess the other thing would be like to collect the actual silk it produces, like not the gland, but the actual output. And maybe that silk has unusual properties. I mean, it's apparently strong enough to hold like a man, which means it's quite strong. So maybe you can just use it to make like a very resilient rope. And maybe the rope is like slightly sticky, so it's like a bit harder to, like, it's easier to use and lash onto things. That could
Make
be interesting.
clothes out of it as well, maybe.
Like weave it together.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally be like, make it into clothes and then just like sell it for a lot of money, or like maybe when it's clothing, it has some unique property, like it's slightly like sticky, so it's easier to climb on things.
It's
or it's
very helpful as a lint roller if you're trying to put your fancy clothes on.
Yeah.
Just to impress the, like, if your character's at like a noble party of some sort, be like, well, this shirt is made out of Ettercap silk. And I'm like, oh, very nice.
It would be pretty cool if you went to like a hunter's ball.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's like it's not just like how fancy is your gear. It's like, what'd you kill to make it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. Kind of like They have it every year because they have so much bits that they need to get rid of. So like, let's just make clothes out of it and have a ball.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
the tailor in town is having a really hard time with all these materials.
I don't have enough dragon skull for more armor, so I'll just make it into a tiara. That's fine.
Perfect.
That's good.
It is.
I think that's an episode there, guys. What do you guys think?
I think so too.
I think so.
Yeah,
Hooray. We did it. We ended at a reasonable time.
we did. Look at us.
Excellent. Well, yeah, that's the Ettercap, the spider humanoid. The stat block I quite like. It has a lot of different things, but it's a simple one. I always like the simple stat blocks with different things on it. By like, this one, it can web and it can poison you, and that's really it. So I like it.
Yeah.
I like the Ettercap. What do we say at the end normally?
Thank you so much for playing my game.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This has been Creature Club Podcast. If you enjoy what you listen to, consider subscribing to us or following us on whatever podcasting app you use. And if you like us so much, consider telling a friend about us. If you so wish to do that, that always helps us out. You can go on our website, creatureclubpodcast.com. You can send us a contact us form there with any homebrew stuff you want us to look at, or if you want us to put into a later episode. If you want to give us any questions and queries and stuff like that, anything, just let us know that you're there if you so wish. Whatever you want to send to us, that'll be cool. We also have a Twitter at Creature Club Pod, or if you just look up Creature Club Podcast on Twitter, you'll find us there. We have the episodes up there. You can send us a message. Sometimes we chat on it, whatever Twitter does, really. Sometimes we're on Twitter. Twitter's kind of a terrible website, but like,
if you're not on Twitter, congratulations.
You don't need to be. Great. Am I forgetting anything else, guys?
I don't believe so.
Did you mention our email address?
creatureclubpodcast@gmail.com, where you can also send us any homebrews, any emails, any just questions, queries. And I say send homebrews because we so wish to do
another homebrew special.
Another homebrew special with the stuff that you guys send in. So if you guys want to do that, just send it on to us and say in the email, I would like to be on the homebrew special, please, or I don't mind you using this in the homebrew special, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, and also if you like it and you've done all the other things, or even if you haven't, you can do them whenever you like, including none of them. You could also leave a review somewhere, anywhere. How do reviews work? Where do they go? These are difficult questions. We don't have answers to them. But I have the utmost faith in you, and I believe that if you try, you can leave a review somewhere.
Yes.
iTunes, Apple Podcasts, I think.
Yeah. There's a couple of them. Podcast Addict has one.
Yes.
Podchaser, Pod Rover, Pod Paradise. There's a whole bunch of them. So if you
Pod Pod Guy,
Hot Pod, Dad Bod,
Dad Bod, Rod.
Exactly.
Just Rod.
Yeah.
He has a website. Cool.
Get us out of here.
Okay, we're done. Thank you so much for listening to Creature Club Podcast. Next episode, we'll talk about something else. I have been Mikey.
I've been Tim.
And I've been Dan.
Stay cool.
Vocal exercises. 1, 2,
Baba
3.
booey, baba
Baba
booey.
booey.
Baba booey, baba booey, baba booey.
You didn't say there'd be a countdown.
3, 2, 1. Baba booey. Okay.
Everyone knows it. It's you go through it all in vocal school.
Yeah.
So it's always 3, 2, 1, baba booey. It's a very
Don't say
basic exercise.
You don't do it too many times because then you'll wear your voice out. It's an extremely accelerated vocal exercise. So don't overdo it, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Baba booey.
Baba booey, baba booey.
He's lost his
I'm
voice.
just going to sanitize my hands right now, guys, if that's okay.
That's very important. I appreciate that.
Hand sanitizer ASMR for you right here.
Can't hear it.
Right. That must mean my microphone's working. Must mean my
great.
compressor is good.
Yeah, your noise gate is on.
Yeah. Right.
What did you boys have for dinner today?
It's not dinner time here yet, Daniel.
I got
Oh, of course. I'm sorry.
I got takeaway.
Nice.
You got takeaway. Nice.
Some Thai food.
What takeaway did you get?
I got Thai food.
Ooh. Bit of pad
Fair
thai?
enough.
Or like
Got
last
pad thai.
minute. Oh, you got pad thai? Oh,
Yep.
I fucking love pad thai.
Me too.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yep.
What about yourself, Dan?
I made a carbonara for myself and Jack.
I fucking love carbonara.
Jesus.
That is
Carbonara's really
Jesus
good.
fucking Christ.
my literal favorite meal. You could
I
just
didn't know that.
you could put something in front of me that has little bits of bacon, some kind of white sauce, and some kind of pasta, and say that it's carbonara, and I will eat that shit up.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what it was. It wasn't super carbonara
Right.
because I think you're supposed to take out the yolks
Yeah,
of the eggs.
if you like.
But I was like, but I don't have anything to do with egg yolks, and I'd feel bad throwing them out, so I'm just gonna add the whole egg.
Yep.
Carbonara is good.
So
Which
good. I love carbonara. This is
It was
facts.
very good.
Facts about Tim.
there you go. Yeah, I did not know that.
There you go.
I'm glad I do.
But my
That's
for dinner last night, Ivy and I made a corned beef cabbage with potatoes and carrots in our Instant Pot thing, our little
ooh, nice.
pressure cooker, which is
Yeah.
great. It's delicious.
Nice. Those pressure cookers. That's like that seems like a sensible investment. I think I might get one of those.
It is. They are frighteningly efficient.
Yeah. The power of science.
Yeah.
Like you use pressure and it cooks fast. And
Yes.
it's like, wow. So cool.
So cool.
That place is Dessert Town. Hit it. I've always wanted to say hit it and then music play, you know.
I'll make it.
It's kind of yeah.
We can make it happen.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah, we can do that. My dessert is this delicious beer.
Nice.
Same here. I'm not a dessert person myself. I've mentioned before. I
You don't
I
mind
do
a bit
enjoy
of
a bit of ice cream.
Yeah.
I do like a bit of ice cream. This sorbet, if I want to be fancy at a restaurant.
I have honestly been thinking recently about how much I love sorbet and how you can buy ice cream everywhere, but you can't buy sorbet everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, that's weird. Like, I'd love to just buy like a tub of sorbet, like a tub of ice cream, and just have it in the freezer.
I remember.
I feel like I've seen it somewhere. I think it might say somewhere fancy maybe.
I was thinking Super Value. I bet you Super Value
yeah.
has it.
I was going to say.
Or like
I
Dunn's.
remember.
like Marks and Spencer's.
I remember years ago getting a very good lemon sorbet from Lidl.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's might be out now because that was when I was like 18, so it's talking 10 years ago kind of thing. But you never know.
If you're listening and you're from Ireland, could you send us a message at Creature Club Pod on Twitter or creatureclubpodcast@gmail.com saying where we could buy sorbet.
Legitimately, I would actually love that. If someone's like, this is where you can get some good sorbet, that would actually be good as hell.
Sorbet recommendations, please.
Please,
absolutely. Because I was literally thinking this. I was like, there's a couple of, because it's a hot summer. We're having a nice hot July here, and there's a few nights where I'd actually love like a cool sorbet.
Yeah.
And just maybe like just sort of sit and look at the setting sun and eat a cool sorbet and be like, this is nice.
I'll try to remember to add it to the episode description as well, so we maximize our chances of getting good recommendations.
Yeah.
Maximize sorbet SEO.
Strange how the Ettercap is the episode where we decided to invest our sorbet.
We were just talking about dessert and it came up.
Yeah, fair enough.
This is how I kind of wish we were like a radio show sometimes. Like, if you know where a good sorbet is, please call in right now. We're getting a call. We're getting a phone call. And then they're like, oh, fuck you. And like, all right.
Okay. All right. Hang up. I thought you vetted these.